When we open up the plugin, this is what comes up. A new hybrid GUI with a bitmap background that maintains sharpness up to the maximum 200% size, and these vector style controls. Now the vector graphics may look kind of familiar, and that's because the sort of main VCA component in miniVCA was lifted out of an update that's coming into QXComp. And as the new QXComp builds with the new VCA Action Type started becoming more final, I started to wonder how exactly I would explain this feature, along with the other coming updates, in a way that felt comprehensive and informative, and yet not adding to the already complex operational overhead of QXComp. So I thought it might just be better to show this concept by itself in a simplified format, so that maybe the action types would be more intuitively understood for the context in which they will be used in the coming QXComp version. But also, it's not just a quick QXComp section cutout either, a toy so to speak. While utilizing a similar code base to both the forthcoming QXComp and RLC79 updates, it excels at providing quick wideband compression, which seemed even more useful with these new action modes. And while QXComp is capable of wideband compression, it is a few steps to set it up to operate in that manner. And the goal of miniVCA is to provide quick and easy instant gratification for that analog-inspired VCA compression sound. For this video, I will be using the miniVCA Plus version, but nearly everything will pertain to the free version as well, and I'll make sure to note any Plus version exclusive features as I cover them. We will briefly look at these four main controls. Pretty standard compressor controls. Threshold, which operates like QXComp in that we turn it up to increase the compression. A ratio from 1.5 through 10 to 1, and independent attack and release controls. We have an input trim in the upper left corner, and similarly an output trim on the opposite corner, and it is important to note that the gain reduction meter is also compensated with the output gain to give a visual aid for level matching to the input signal. Below here is a dry-wet mix control, where the dry signal is not affected by the input or output trim controls. To the left here we have a knee button, which when on engages a soft knee behavior. And on the Plus version, we also have a button to turn on external sidechain, which will feed the signal from the auxiliary input channel to the plugin into the detector path instead of the main input. A variable sidechain high-pass filter also exists on the Plus version. The free version is fixed at 84 Hz, the starting point for this filter control, which seemed a good all-around setting for the material that was tested. To the right, the Plus version also features an auto-release button that, when enabled, disables the release control. The auto-release behavior has been specially tuned for each of the VCA action types. Now for the main attraction, the VCA action types. And we have three selections. It starts on clean by default, which is very similar to the action behavior that exists in the current release of QXComp, feed-forward, natural-sounding peak detection. The next is punch, which aims to bring the focus more onto the attack behavior of the peak detector. And oppositely, the pump mode aims to bring the focus more onto the release behavior of the peak detector. The controls have been designed to try to offer the best A/B comparison when switching between them, but due to the radically different nature of their behavior and how it is affected by the input signal, some material and setting combinations may require threshold or output adjustments to accurately match. With the most common issue that I've kind of dealt with being the pump mode can sometimes be slightly or even more moderately louder due to the release emphasis. They all have a unique flavor, and the design makes it easy to quickly listen and decide. And now let's look at these controls on the bottom. There's a harmonics control with a similar 0 to 400% range like RLC79, but also these new multiplier buttons with ×1, ×10, and ×100 options. And this feature will be coming to an RLC79 update also. You can go from box tone to sonic mayhem when you crank the compression and drive. The Plus version expands this further to add 3 selectable harmonics modes. There's a natural mode, which has a good balance of even and odd harmonics. Crispy mode exhibits a little more harmonic distortion, which is more intense in the upper range than in natural mode. And Fuzzy mode, which has the most harmonic distortion and the highest level of even harmonics. All of the modes feature program-dependent adaptive behavior that changes dynamically with the input signal, gain reduction amount, and the VCA Action Type selected. The non-plus version uses natural mode only. Next we have this Transformer section, which toggles the output transformer simulation stage. On the Plus version, we can further select between modern and vintage models. The non-Plus version toggles the modern model simulation only. Finally, the settings bar with a very similar layout to the recent QX Comp and RLC 79 updates. But a few important things to note for miniVCA. The oversampling is now a selectable range between off and times 16 on both the Plus and non-Plus versions. And a front-facing GUI oversampling toggle has been omitted. And a new channel mode setting, which defaults to stereo, but could also be considered an auto mode, as it will process in mono if a mono instance is loaded. But we also have a mono selection, which forces mono operation of the plugin, even if a stereo instance is loaded, to increase efficiency. The Plus version also adds dual mono, which processes the left and right channels independently for unlinked stereo behavior. So now let's take a couple minutes to listen to some examples of miniVCA throughout a mix. This provides you with a thorough overview of the new miniVCA and miniVCA Plus plugins from Psycho Circuitry. If you would like to see more hands-on content with miniVCA or sound demonstrations, please let me know in the comments below.